Woodcraft, helping you make woodwork.
Test, 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 test. I'm Marzel Van Blanderen. I'm a new addition to the Woodcraft store, about 3 months now. I have a business in antique restoration and refinishing, and I do this kind of fill in the spots, keep me busy, sometimes too busy. So they've asked me to do a demo on caning, and we're going to look at 2 different styles of caning. There are 3 actually, and we'll talk about the 3rd, but we won't really get into it. It's very difficult. So this is basically the chairs that I have seated around here are chairs that have been caned or that need repaired or that are buggered up. I don't fall over. I'm a little bit nervous. Okay. So this is the caning that we're going to look at today. It's called a pressed-in cane, and it has this rib that goes all the way around, and that's what holds that caning in. And you guys were looking at this a little earlier. We sell it. It looks like this. It is a wedge, and the design of that wedge is so you can get it in the groove while it's wet, because when it's wet it will swell. And so with that wedge you're still able to get it in the groove as far as you need to, and then when it dries it's very secure. So that's why the wedge, and it's easier to get in the groove and work the material around. But we sell it, it looks like this. There's several different sizes. If you go into your chair, you just want to measure the diameter of the groove, and you get the diameter, that appropriate diameter. So it does come in 3 different sizes. You want to be aware of that. You don't want to use one too small. You don't want to use one too big. It's really got to be the same size. So this chair is what's considered a rushed chair. And as you can see, it's a fiber that is just bound in a circle. And back in the day it was actually a natural plant fiber, and today we've replaced it with this paper fiber that is twisted and bound, and it's a lot stronger and it's easier to handle than the fiber, the natural fiber one. The natural fiber likes to tear a lot, and you can't pull it and get it tight as well as you can this paper. And the paper stains a whole lot nicer if you want to put a stain on it rather than the natural fiber. This is what it looks like when we sell it. This is a pre-stained bundle in like a golden oak situation, and they sell it by the pounds. This is about 2 pounds. And an average chair, which this would be considered an average chair, takes about 2.5 pounds. So you would need 2 good rolls of this to get that job done. And it's all individual weaving and going in different directions to get that pattern. But every one of these, it's just an individual strand, unlike the pre-pressed where it comes in a sheet. And you have a finished side and an unfinished side, and you always want to have that finished side on top. It'll look kind of goofy if you put the unfinished side, and then you won't be able to stain it really good, and it'll look kind of weird. So there is a top and a bottom, so you want to be aware. The slippery is the top. So
that's pre-stained too?
This you can get in pre-stained, yes. This is raw with no finish, and you can get it with finish, so you don't have to do anything to it. We carry the non-finished and the non-stained. It's called the bleached, and if you want something finished, we can order it in and bring it in at any time. So that's and this is just one style, you know, a couple of different styles. This is more of your octagon shape, where this is just a tight square, and it just gives you a different look on the chair. A lot of times you'll stick with what's original on the chair and you'll be able to see enough of it to know what you want to put on. There is also this third that is a very tightly woven, more like a rug type deal. Very high-end antiques generally have this on it, and again, it's going to be the same concept. You're going to do exactly the same steps as you would the octagon one. It's just a different look. And then I forgot to bring the shaker chair down, but we have a shaker chair that has yet another style. It's not considered caning, it's more considered weaving, and it's a fabric, a canvas, and you weave it and get the look that you want on that. But this is the basic caning here. So first thing that I do is I will take all of my raw material and I'll get it soaking in water for about an hour, at least an hour before I want to use it. And if you can continue to keep it wet with the pieces you're not using, it'll be easier to use the product as it's going. If it's not wet, it isn't going to fit right, and it isn't going to... When it dries, it tightens, so that's what gives you your tension. So you don't necessarily have to be tight right away. Let it sit and dry, and it'll tighten itself. But you want it, fairly snug. But it doesn't have to be 100% tight. So my first step would be to get my product soaking, measure out what I want, and it's very simple to cut. I just use a pair of scissors. You want a little bit of overlap, about an inch on each side, just to be able to work it properly. You have a hard time hanging on to it if you don't get a little bit of an overlap. And it's fairly inexpensive, so you're really not saving yourself anything by being exact. You're just creating more working headaches than you are by trying to save a penny or two. So there is no right or wrong with whatever direction you choose. The one thing that is wrong is to have it slightly off at an angle, unless you're at a perfect angle, because you'll notice it terrible, and it'll probably bother you. Bothers me. So, and I'm just looking at the rib and making sure that I have enough good working product while I throw my tools around. And we'll just get this soaking just so we have good examples. When I'm doing it in my shop, I use a very deep bucket so I can fill it all the way up, submerge it, and I know that everything is being soaked evenly, and I'm not bending it and creating a crease, which usually isn't an issue, but sometimes if you wait too long with it in the water, the crease won't go away. So I like to have, a nice tall bucket. You don't have to, 5-gallon bucket works. Just keep flipping it and working it. So this is gonna be kind of difficult. I'm gonna try and work in the middle here because I gotta be in front of it. So if you guys just wanna kind of circle around me here. We do sell this tool. This is great for cleaning out the rib. That's the most important part to any caning job, is the cleaning out of the original rib. If you don't get it all cleaned out in a nice flat surface, you're not going to get the next rib in there proper and tight, and it will start to come out in that spot. So this is going to be the hardest part of the job, is getting it clean and prepped. And this actually is a worthwhile buying tool. I use a chisel, same concept. I just happen to have one that size. But as you can see, It's pretty much the same. It's just this got a little more of a curl, which that would be very beneficial. But
Did you make yours, or is that a bought one?
it's many years old,
Oh, okay.
but it was bought at one time. Nice part about being in the antique world is you have all sorts of old tools that are very functional for what we're doing. So, one more thing. Now this is a really old chair, and it's been sitting in inventory for many years. And so everything is very dry, and it will come out very easy. The chairs that are newer, that you guys will probably be working with, this rib is going to be glued in really tight, and it's going to be a bugger to get it out, and it's all about diligence and staying with it. If you happen to slip and go across the finish or make a mark, you know, we can fix that in the end and make it look fine. You're more worried about the cleanliness of this track. So they're all glued in there. So the first tool would be just a regular old X-Acto knife, or an old timer's pocket knife my dad likes to use, whenever you have a knife. And you just run it down the edges, both sides. And you want to try and make sure that you get all the way to the bottom of the groove, because the glue is going to start at the bottom and come up. So the bulk of your glue is always going to be on the bottom of the groove. And while you're doing this, you're also going to be cutting away most of the time your leftover excess cane that's all broken up. Most of the time, cane defaults because somebody stepped on it. Outside of that, if you're just sitting on it, it's very strong. It'll last a very long time. This rocking chair behind me, or beside me, it's a victim of someone stepping on it to get a little more height. So it's very common to be blowed out in the centers like that. And generally that's, unless someone drops something on it, that's about the only way it goes bad. If you're just always sitting on it, it's not going to go bad. So curling your feet around the chair is a great tidbit of information, because it holds the chair in place. And all I'm going to do is just run my chisel continuously down each side of the rib until I get it clean. And again, I don't have the glue in this chair that you're going to run across in your chairs. I have done some where I've had to take a Dremel tool or some kind of power tool to get it cleaned out, because it was just so fresh a glue that it just was everywhere. It's not such a bad thing to dig into the track a little bit.